Everyone told Stix his problem was takeout and Ubers. It wasn't even close. He cut the eating out, killed every subscription, downloaded a budgeting app, and used it religiously for 4 months straight, and he was still broke by the 20th of every month. Because his problem was never behavioral, it was structural. And if you've ever fixed your spending and still ended up short, this is about you too. So here's the one number Stix never looked at, the one quietly draining more than every latte and Uber ride combined. But before I show you that number, you need to see the lie he believed first, because I promise you, you believe it too. Stix believed what almost everyone believes. If you stop buying $6 coffees, stop calling Ubers, stop ordering takeout, you'll finally start saving. It's the most repeated piece of money advice on the internet. Cut the coffee, save the future. And it's not random that this advice spreads so fast. It's designed to feel true. It's specific. It's visible. It gives you something to do today. Every time Stix skipped a coffee run, he felt like he was winning. Every Uber he didn't call felt like a small victory. He started keeping a tally in his notes app. Days without spending, streaks, little wins stacking up. But here's what nobody told him. None of that belief was based on his actual numbers. It was based on a feeling. A feeling that small, visible spending equals the whole problem. And feelings are a terrible way to do math. Because while Stix was celebrating skipped coffees, something much bigger was quietly bleeding him dry in the background, completely untouched. And that feeling, that false sense of progress, is exactly what led Stix to make the biggest financial mistake of his life. Not a reckless one, a responsible-looking one. Watch what he actually did. Stix went to war with $5 purchases. He tracked every coffee to the cent, skipped every Uber, even in the rain, meal prepped instead of ordering out. On paper, he looked like a finance genius. His friends even asked him for budgeting tips. But in 4 months of tracking every small purchase, he never once opened his car loan statement, never called his landlord to ask about rent, never looked at what his debt payments were actually costing him month over month. Here's the number that changes everything. For people in the lowest income bracket, housing alone eats roughly 33 to 35% of every paycheck. Transportation eats another 30%. That's not 2 small slices. That's over 60% of total income. Gone, before a single coffee is ever purchased. 60%. Stix was fighting a war over the remaining crumbs. He was micromanaging maybe 5% of his spending with military precision, while the other 60% moved completely unchecked, unquestioned, on autopilot. Not because he was lazy, because nobody ever told him to look there. The entire culture of money advice pointed him at coffee cups instead of car loans. And when I show you the actual dollar amount that mistake cost him in a single year, not a guess, the real math, you're going to want to pause this and check your own bank statement. Let's do the math Stix never did. Stick with me. This part is where everything clicks. Cutting coffee completely every single day for a full year, that saves somewhere between $1,000 and $1,800. Real money, not nothing. But his car payment is a completely average, not even flashy vehicle, sat around $531 to $770 a month, depending on whether it was used or new. Do that math out over 12 months, and you're looking at somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000 a year on the car alone. Then there's rent. National averages put that north of $22,000 a year. So here's the actual scoreboard. Stix was saving a few $100s by skipping coffee, while losing tens of thousands of dollars a year to the 2 costs he never even looked at once. That's not a spending problem. That's a math problem. And math problems don't get fixed by willpower. Here's where it gets worse, though. And this is the part that made Stix furious when he found out. He eventually got a raise, a real one. And you'd think that raise would go straight to savings, right? It didn't. Research on savings behavior shows something brutal. As income rises, savings don't rise proportionally with it, especially for lower and middle incomes. The extra money doesn't sit in a savings account. It quietly gets absorbed. Rent creeps up. The car gets upgraded. Small lifestyle boosts eat the raise before it's ever felt. Stix's raise vanished in about 6 weeks. He never even noticed where it went. And this is exactly why the numbers on emergencies are so brutal. According to the Federal Reserve's SHED report, 37% of all U.S. adults couldn't cover a surprise $400 expense in cash For young adults specifically, ages 18 to 29, that number is even worse. 55% couldn't cover it. Not because they bought too many lattes, because the big three, housing, transportation, and debt, were quietly winning every single month completely undetected. So if cutting coffee isn't the fix, what actually is? Stix eventually found one rule, a single question really, that changed everything about how he handled money. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply to your own situation. I'm going to give you the exact rule right now. The rule: fix the big three before you touch the small stuff. Before you cancel one more subscription, before you skip one more coffee, before you feel one more ounce of guilt over a $6 purchase, audit exactly 3 numbers: your housing cost, your transportation cost, and your total debt payments. That's it. That's where roughly 90% of the actual leak lives. For Stix, that meant 3 uncomfortable conversations. He called his landlord and asked about a lease renewal discount. He looked into refinancing the car loan. He consolidated one high-interest debt into something manageable. None of it was glamorous. None of it made a good no-spend challenge post. But it moved more money in one afternoon than 4 months of coffee tracking ever did. Then came step 2. Automate what's left the second income hits the account. Before lifestyle creep gets a single chance to touch it. Pay yourself first, automatically, silently, so the next raise doesn't quietly disappear into a nicer apartment or a car upgrade nobody asked for. Here's the psychology behind why this actually works, and why latte cutting never did. Small purchases feel like the problem because they're frequent and visible. Your brain treats them like the villain simply because you see them every single day. A coffee cup in your hand, a receipt in your inbox. But a $770 car payment? You signed that once, months or years ago, and your brain filed it away as normal. Invisible costs don't feel dangerous, but they're the ones actually running your entire financial life in the background. Stix didn't get ahead the day he skipped his 100th coffee. He got ahead the day he stopped asking, "What small thing can I cut today?" and started asking one different question. What's the one big number I've never actually looked at? Ask yourself that question today. Open the account, open the statement, open the number you've been avoiding. That's not where the guilt lives. That's where your real money problem and your real solution and has been hiding the entire time.